Well, as the lockdown continues, 2.0 as they're calling it, I thought it'd be a good chance to catch up with someone in the finance business. Of course, we're all affected by that, making sure we can make our repayments and so on. Douglas Grant is joining us from Conister. I suppose, Douglas, we should start with last time round, because it was new territory for everybody. Can you give us some ideas how all that went for you, and your customers and people who are finding it tight at the time to be able to make those payments?
Yeah, I think we need to actually take a little step back as well, Paul. We came off a really good 2019. We set the business up for growth in 2020, and indeed we had a really good first couple of months, and then lockdown number one started, and straight away we decided to put £10 million aside to help Manx companies, and that was shortly followed by the government's scheme number one and scheme number two, and we were happy to support both schemes. And what that really meant was that we really didn't mind whether the business SME in the Isle of Man borrowed from ourselves or through either the Isle of Man government schemes, because the key for me in all of this lockdown, in particular the first one, was people forgot that lockdown was all about people. We spoke about businesses, we spoke about SMEs, but a business and SME doesn't exist without people, without staff and employees. And these staff and employees are my friends, my neighbours, my family, my staff's friends, neighbours, your friends, staff's neighbours. That is in effect the community. And if we didn't support the community, and we have always said that we were a community bank, if we didn't stand up and support the community then when could we really show that that was our true colours? So we lent through that period of time, and I refer to that as triage. It was like financial triage. It was every business that was financially sound, that had been negatively impacted by COVID, we should have been able to help. But my view was that triage could only last for so long. Then at some point, the government would have to stand back and make serious decisions about where the economy was going and what sectors of the economy it really wanted to support. And it's really interesting at this point in time, as we speak now, we've got Joe Biden going into the presidency of the US. And he's already saying that he's going to turbocharge the US economy to make it as sharp a V-shaped recession as possible to get the economy back onto level footing. In the UK, we're seeing Boris do what Boris does well. He likes big infrastructure projects. He likes to invest in the new economy. So he's talking about green finance, etc., HS2, stuff like that. So he's going to spend his way out of it. And that's really quite interesting when you compare it to the Europeans, because what we're seeing in Europe is talk of austerity. And so I think the Isle of Man government's got a big decision to make, and this upcoming budget will be probably the most eagerly awaited budget for a generation, because I think we've got some decisions to make as to how do we position this economy to get ourselves back on a level footing for the good of the public.
That's interesting you say that, because I did Alf Cannon interview the other day, and he was saying there's no new big projects on the runway because of the situation we're in. You're thinking the opposite. You're thinking like the New Deal, are you, in the States and all that sort of thing, just to pump the economy up?
I think it's got options, and there's hybrids, of course. But you'd think since the recession in 2008, surely we've got government as lean as it can be in the 12 years since then in terms of austerity. Do we really want austerity phase two? Or do we look for some form of financial support within the economy? To give you a feel for financial support within the economy, if we go back to lockdown number one, we had thousands of companies approach us for forbearance, payment holidays, or reduced payments, and we worked with them. And obviously, we were working from home, and that went really well for us. It kept us in contact with our customers, so our staff did brilliantly at that point. But we worked with all our customers, and by the end of autumn, we had a handful of customers that were still in forbearance because we had worked with them. So we had done an incredibly good job, and our customers were very loyal and did the right thing with us. They approached us if they had any financial issues. And the key for me is talk to us early, talk to any bank early, and they can help. The longer you leave it, the harder it is to come to a really good solution.
And so how did your £10 million go, by the way?
Sorry?
How did the £10 million that you set aside, did that all go? Was it all needed?
No, I think that's what I find really interesting in all of that. It wasn't, we did not lend that £10 million, and we haven't fully lent our accreditation limits that we said to the Isle of Man government would through its two schemes either. which would suggest there's a level of robustness within that Isle of Man economy. And I backed that up with saying that we had, in our 85th year, we had record advances, that's record loans, made in the summer months. And it was almost as if the 8-10 weeks of lockdown one created a pent-up demand that we then satisfied 4 months lending in 2 months almost. That's how it fell. And the Isle of Man economy seemed to bounce back incredibly well. And there are sectors which, of course, haven't bounced back. You can't expect, I don't know, sea, air, hospitality in terms of hotels, car hire, places like that, businesses like that to bounce back when there's no customers coming. But that's also an interesting ingredient for the next budget as well. If we've got TT cancelled for 2021 and we want to have TT in 2022, we need to have that infrastructure in place to ensure that our guests enjoy as good a time as they expect, or they won't come back for 2023.
How do you feel then in your waters? You know, do you feel confident and optimistic?
I am. I'm confident in terms of the resilience that the economy has shown, and there's no doubt but nobody was expecting what happened, and that's the truth of it. So nobody had really set their personal finances or even their business finances up to take such a hit. And lockdown 2, hopefully that'll be the last lockdown. That's a second kind of bite at those provisions that people had set aside. So I think it's time. And what I'm coming to now, I do see resilience in what everybody's doing, but I think that there's a bottom of a well for people. I think people do need to see some positive leadership.
I think many people think of your company. I just remember my first car. I think I got my loan through Conister Bank, and that's maybe the only sort of people that may deal with you. But you actually obviously deal with businesses and big businesses as well, making them tick and lubricate the cogs a bit.
We do, and we lend as much as we can on the Isle of Man, and we'll do people's cars, we'll do people's furniture, kitchens, we'll do businesses. Commercial is a really good place for us, a good spot for us to be in at the moment. So whether it's a business for an insurance product, for a piece of machinery or a kit that they like, then or they need for the business, then yes, we'll support that business. And our sales team, what we've done is we've grown the sales team in terms of their skill base. We've brought people in who have that commercial experience and skills from some of the clearing banks, for example, to make sure that we've got the skill set in-house to be able to deliver on the products that we want to offer.
Okay, well, to take away from this, the main thing is, as you said at the beginning, if people have got problems hitting their repayments, the main thing is, and I think everyone always says this, is don't bury that letter under the doormat. Do something about it. Talk to you guys.
Yeah, please do. I mean, this is not a Conister focus. This is just a general comment across all financial institutions. If you have any difficulty, the sooner you talk to the institution, the more they can help. And all the institutions are in a far better place than they were in the 2007-8 crisis. We are genuinely here to help, especially on this Isle of Man. I mean, and from a Conister perspective, every decision we make on Ireland, we live with the consequences of our decisions. So please come and talk to us.